Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
Don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm excited. It's Thursday. 4 something feet of snow we got last night, and our little neighbor kids I didn't know how to feel about this. I was glad they shoveled our driveway and our sidewalk. But then when I had to send the thank you text, I was like, we're getting older. Thank you so much, Sonny. It was really nice of them. Yeah, a lot of snow in the Chicagoland area. I hear there's rain in other parts of the country. What's it look like in your neck of the woods? I want to know. Put it inside the comment section, please. So happy to have you here, and I'm so excited to be here myself. Late night for me last night. I was on a podcast, Real Men, Real Talk, with Jay. What was the name of it? It was a whole bunch of guys there, 4 of us. It was a great time last night over on YouTube. So anyway, a lot of snow, and here we are working our way to the end of the week, which what is tomorrow, Valentine's Day. We're not doing much. We're supposed to go to dinner on Saturday evening to our spot it's where we had our oh Lord, what's that called? Rehearsal dinner, and the hotel where all of our people stayed for our wedding. So there's a restaurant attached to that place, and that's our little special place. So we'll be going there on Saturday night for dinner. My treat meal of the week, speaking of, still doing great. Around 24 pounds gone in since January 4th when I started the Metabolic Balance Challenge with my coach, Jane Durst Polkes. And I'm very excited about that. Happy with it. Got to get back in the gym. Just added oils back into my diet, which is supposed to give me a lot of energy. So today, let's hope. Here's this morning's healthy metabolic. I tried to switch it up. So this is the weirdest breakfast of them all because you have nuts and seeds. So I have sunflower seeds and almonds, fruit, which is my apple today, an apple a day. And then for my veggie this morning, I boiled my own beets last night, and I'm going to have beets because I usually do cucumber. So I'm going to have beets today. So wish me luck. Anyway, so glad you're here. Like I said, one announcement again, if you or anyone is in the Boston, Massachusetts area, won't be long now. I'll be landing in Boston on Saturday, March 1st, staying through Monday the 3rd, but I'll be keynoting on Sunday the 2nd at PitCon Conference and Exposition. It's going to be a wonderful time. PitCon, 6,000 plus chemist. Yes, chemist. And I'll be presenting the keynote entitled The Ripple Effect. I'm very excited about that. So if you're in the area, I'd love to see you. There you go. Today's guest, going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one. Her name is Kimberly Henry, and she's working with me a little on the side to get to where she wants to go. And this morning, we're going to talk about a lot of things. The Kimberly Show is one of the things that she's had back and forth for a while. And also, $1 Million Memoirs. She has a thing called $1 Million Memoirs. And we're going to talk about that. But what I really want to get into with Kimberly today is the topic of grit and tenacity. And so she's not been here before. So what I'd like us to do is put some hearts on the screen. It's our virtual way of saying welcome. She's on her way in, you guys. Welcome to the stage. Our guest today, Kimberly Henry. Good morning. How are you, Kimberly Henry?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Are you outside?
I'm in a cafe, my special little place that I come. I've made friends and I've been turned on to different drinks, and so this is my favorite spot. Hopefully you don't hear the noise in the back because it didn't work out for me what I wanted to use for this, so I had to pivot.
We hear a little bit, but it's not bad at all. I kind of like it. It's like I feel like I'm in a Norman Rockwell kind of setting back there. What's the name of the place so we can give them a shout out?
Oh, Mojo's Cafe and Gallery.
Okay, I do. So that's what I'm seeing. Mojo's. Hey, shout out to Mojo's. And where is Mojo's? Where in the country are you?
In New York.
State?
Upstate New York.
Upstate New York. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. You guys got any snow?
You know, I am so grateful. We were supposed to have a mix of stuff with snow and sleet, and we got nothing so far.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Sherry McQueen. I believe, Sherry, aren't you in Ohio? 6 inches of snow. We were supposed to get 8. We only got half of that, and I'm grateful for that. Ira David Levy enjoyed the podcast last night. That's the one I was speaking of, Real Men. Oh, thanks for watching. Good morning to you as well. Mike Casanova, good morning to you. Loving that hat in the profile picture, Mike. How are you? Robert Brooker, sounding off. Mike Casanova. Oh, I thought he said he was in Kentucky. He said, welcome, Kimberly. Oh, Lord. Oh, Sherry McQueen in Michigan. Michigander. That's right. I should have known that because that's where my husband and I are both from, Michigan. So you got snow last night too, Sherry, huh? I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. So anyway, Kimberly, I'm glad you're here. I wanted to start like I always do, and I'm going to dip out for about 60 seconds or up to it. Take as much time or as little as you need, but just say hello to everybody and kind of just speak from where you woke up today. What's on your spirit? What's on your heart? And then I'll come back in and we'll get started down the road of conversation. Sound like a plan?
Awesome.
Okay, take it away. All you, Kimberly Henry.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I woke up today and I came into Mojo's and hanging out with my friends before, getting on with Dr. Lauren and doing this. And I'm sitting in a space where I'm in upstate New York. I'm outside of Albany, and I'm born, raised, and bred here. And there's a sense of a grieving type of thing, grieving my old self, grieving the experiences that I had as a younger child, which is interesting because last night I had my niece play with my hair, and she likes to do hair. So she used a curling iron on my hair. I wanted to see what it would look like. And I walked outside and I'm walking to Mojo's, and I had this sense of all of a sudden I see my insecure adolescent little girl from the 80s when we used to crink our hair. If y'all remember the 80s with the crinking, I think it was like primping or something like that. I don't even remember because I have PTSD from the 80s. And so it's interesting. I'm sitting in the space of like feeling like I'm grieving my old self and grieving old past experiences with friends and their family members, and being who I am today and who I was then, and reflecting on my journey. Like I would have no idea as like my 18-year-old self, or even this insecure adolescent little girl being like 11, 13 years old, and having had the experiences that I did at 11 and 12 years old, I would have never guessed that I would be sitting here with you today.
Wow.
And I'd be who I am today.
I know the feeling. I do know that feeling. And it's interesting because, and you guys, I think let me get my nose keeps running and I haven't even been outside, but I went outside the other day and it was like below freezing. It only takes a second.
It does.
And I went to the mailbox. We didn't even go to the mailbox yesterday. We're like, forget the mail.
The mail can wait.
Yeah, I'm going to probably have to go and shovel a little bit more today. Unless the boys come back for a repeat. Let's only hope. But Kimberly, I didn't know because, you and I are working together a little now. And so I know the situation. And I was like, how do I skirt around these? And then something I heard, something say, no, let's just keep it real and get into it. So I wanted to start with it's been a challenging journey, hasn't it?
Yeah.
For you.
At least.
Yeah, but the thing that gets me is that I thought we could talk about today was tenacity, grit, why it is you keep getting back up. So let's start with, if you're okay, and I'll lead in, but you can take it from there so that you're talking about things that you're comfortable talking about.
Well, I'm an open book. So whatever you want to discuss, I'm up for it.
Okay. Well, you're on your way. You and I are working on getting you to the place where you feel like you've made it through even the current situation.
The other day we had a session and we were talking about, we were kind of eliminating all the things that weren't so right to get to the things that were right. And we landed on the fact that the job you have, your day job, you've had it for over a year, but you were, we discussed, you need a vehicle, and we were discussing about how you wanted to move because you're currently residing with your sister, which helping her out, and you love that, helping her with her grandkids. So it's kind of, you're there for each other, but you'd rather, it's time, who doesn't want their own space, and all those sorts of things. And so I wanted to go there. A lot of people might not be able, they would say, let me put this side thing, this side gig of, the Kimberly show, speaking and all those things you want to do, not what you get paid for, but those things that fall under the category of what you were made for. A lot of people would just put them on hold. And well, when I get my act together, I'll circle back. But you've decided to do them simultaneously. And that's why I said, we'll do whatever we need to do to work together. Right. And
Which
that's
I appreciate you for that.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing that a lot of people don't know about Dr. Lauren. I even had somebody say to me the other day, yeah, I was talking to somebody about you, and they're like, well, he's going to try to sell you something. And I'm like, I don't know who that could have been, because that's one of the things I put out there all the time. I say, Dr. Lauren doesn't sell shit, as much as I kind of tell you what's available. And then I listen for what's supposed to happen. And if something is sold, the ring of truth sells it. I'm not peddling, but everybody has their own opinion. And I wanted to ask you,
well, can I share something really quick on that?
Of course.
So what I've learned from that is it never has anything to do with the other person. So if I feel insecure about the idea of meeting with you, or what you could be saying, or if you could be selling me, it's my insecurity. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has nothing to do with what you're saying. It has nothing to do with what your intentions are. It has to do with my own insecurities. Like, what am I really afraid of? That, okay, if you're selling me, then what does that really mean? What am I making it to mean about myself? You know what I mean? And I feel like it's the environment of, we're all being sold to all the time. On everything. When you're with your husband, you're selling him on whether he's going to kiss you in the morning, whether he's going to kiss you at night. Like, we're always selling to other people.
Some kind of give and take kind of deal. And I agree with that. I want to ask you about this though. Remember let's go to that point where we were going through all of the options and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember, I love this part though, because it happens a lot more than people would think. Where we got to the point where you were going to have to tell me the situation, right? And I could tell, and do you remember what I said about, well, I do, where I was like, I know what you're feeling, that, all along you hear what could happen and you go, but he doesn't know. I can't afford anything right now, really. I have to, I'm barely making ends meet, really. But what we don't know sometimes is that spirit is moving along and telling me the same things. Yeah, So I want to get to this point. Remember where we got to the point where I said, this has been positioned so that all excuses for not being able to move forward have been removed. There is a way we can do this. And I want you to speak to, how did that make you feel? Because I remember when I was looking, and I still do sometimes, and it's like, I wish I could right now, but I can't. And why would a carrot be dangled in front of me when I can't take advantage of it? But then something changed, and here we are. So just, if you could, I hope you get what I'm getting at, what I'm pushing. Okay. How did that make you feel when you saw that? What? You mean there's actually a way I can get in here and get this work done and maybe move towards what it is I've always wanted? Talk about that if you could.
Well, I am recalling it now. As you say it, I remember. And I remember how I felt because of the synchronicity that the first time we met, you brought up The Alchemist, the book. And I've had it on my shelf and I never read it because it was always going to be one day that I would read it. And then it was like, okay, so now is the time, because you were like the third or fourth person that I heard the book. So I'm like, okay, now is the time. So I went to a vintage shop locally and I felt called to go to that vintage shop. Like I would find the book if I went to the vintage shop. And I did. I went to the vintage shop and it was there along with other books that I was super excited about getting. So
Okay.
I started reading the book right after that first session with you. And in that moment, you mentioned, okay, like all obstacles have been removed so that you get to move forward. I just read in The Alchemist about how on his journey, okay, it all leads to the same road. So you have all of these detours, you have all of these things that occur, you have all of these things that come up, you have all of these situations, these conflicts, and yet it all ends in the same way. It all goes to it diverges into the same place. So
Yes.
there was a synchronicity to what you said, that experience with you. And it reminded me that sometimes I get to make an ask or I get to make a request, which for me is interesting because it comes up for a worthiness conversation.
Yes, yes, yes. Something we all deal with
Yeah. Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned grit and getting back up and keeping going. What do you attribute this? What is the passion? Where do you find your passion that allows you, Kimberly, to not put your work of easing suffering and all the things that you just long to do? How do you keep it right beside you when you are digging out of situations and moving forward into better situations? Are you ever tempted to just kind of like put it in a box and put it on hold? I actually have one of your podcasts pulled up, and I didn't know if I was going to show it or not, but because what I loved about it was right from the gate, before you even introduced your guest. I think it was Demetria Good.
Oh,
And she's
I love Demetria.
and she's
Yeah.
been on my show too. I was like, oh,
Oh,
I
she
know her.
has? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I didn't know you two were connected.
Yep, she's been on my show years ago. Yes, I
Oh,
remember.
that's
Yeah, the
awesome.
Good Fight or something like that.
Yes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, in the first thing you said was, I took a break. I had to take a hiatus to deal with some personal things,
Mhm.
and you led with vulnerability. Talk
Yeah.
about that. How does that come so easy? So many people would just glaze over it, leave it out, make it
Mhm.
sound better than it was. It's not easy to admit we're in a sticky wicky
Yeah. Yeah.
situation. Where do you get that ease and comfort to just be authentic, transparent, vulnerable? Where do you think that
It's,
comes from,
it's
Kimberly?
interesting because I feel like it was the rebellious side of me as a child living in a don't ask, don't tell environment that they didn't want me to talk. And I always talk.
Mm,
So uh, the environment of that home felt so inauthentic in so many different ways that I always like wanted to be authentic, which is what made me speak. So in 8th grade, I went into a counselor just randomly and I said, I don't know what makes my home so different, because I was around other kids and I was around their homes. And even if they had, because I had 2 alcoholic parents, even if they had 1 alcoholic parent, their house was not as chaotic as my house. So I went into the counselor and I said, I don't know why my home is different. I don't know why I'm experiencing what I am. Can you help me? Because I just wanted clarity on why I was always feeling so inauthentic and why they felt inauthentic. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
So then it was like from a young age, it was knowing that I get to speak. I get to speak to someone. People get to know what I'm experiencing. Even if it was my close group of friends, at least I didn't feel the need to hide. And there are times where I do feel like hiding. Yeah, I feel like putting things on hold pretty consistently. And then I feel like the universe gives me stronger and stronger messages.
So can we talk about that place that you're kind of leading us into when you grew up? You said it was
Yeah.
a chaotic situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many, what did it look like? How many kids? And what was the parental situation? Wasn't sure if you were saying you had two alcoholic parents.
I did. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the
And I
D
have a
in
sibling.
dysfunction. And what?
I have a sibling. She's 7 years older than me. But by the time their alcoholism hit like a spike, like kind of raging alcoholic, by the time I was in high school, I had already felt like an only child because there was 7 years between us. So by the time I was 11, 12 years old, she already met her first husband. She was already having her first child. She was on a totally different, and she was repeating the pattern. She married an alcoholic. So she was living her life. I always felt like an only child. So I felt responsible for everyone from a very young age. I
Oh,
felt responsible. I need to make them happy. I need to figure out why they're so unhappy. I need to figure out like why there's so much conflict, why he's always mad at me, because I really had it in with my dad. My dad and I were always at each other. And honestly, I feel like that was a rebellious part of me, that I always felt like I had to speak my truth, because I had to speak my truth to him, because there was such a power struggle between the two of us.
wow.
Yeah.
So just okay. So really, you were like an only child.
Yeah.
What? Wow. And your sister, you said she kind of started the drinking herself.
No, she married an alcoholic.
She married one, so it wasn't
Yeah.
her, but she married one. So
Yeah.
yeah, a guy just like dear old dad kind of
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Did you ever feel yourself being drawn to that same path? You know, were you ever tempted to? Did you ever? Were you afraid that if not for God, there goes me? Or am I going to turn into? Is that my legacy? How did you keep it separate?
Of being an alcoholic.
Yeah, you
Oh,
know, a
I
lot of
didn't have
people are
any
like,
interest in any of it. I never drank when I was young. I never did any kind of drugs. Like I never did any of that. I wasn't interested in, until I got into my 20s, and then I did repeat the patterns. I had a child with a man that was a drug addict. So I went from alcoholism to drugs, and I had no clue about drugs. I was totally naive. In my mind, my codependent brain was like, "Oh, well, it's not alcohol." But he was drinking alcohol too. I was having the rose-colored glasses on. So, and then I went into my 20s, and I decided to leave him because his mom, she called me one night, and what's going on? Well, normal stuff. He's telling me he's doing one thing, but I'm sure he's out there doing drugs, selling drugs. I didn't even know what he was doing. And she said to me, she gave me the permission, I guess I was looking for, I guess in some consciousness, of if you don't leave him, he's going to drag you and my granddaughter down. My granddaughter deserves better. You deserve better. So I hung up the phone with her, and I called my mom, and I said, I'm ready to leave. I'll pack up some Pampers. I'll pack up some things. And I was just shy of my 23rd birthday. So then once I left him, it was so chaotic, because then it included constant police reports, constant child protective calls, family court. I was in family court constantly to get custody of her, go for child support. It was, and I felt like our lives were in danger, because I knew what he was capable of, because he was abusing drugs. So I just didn't know if he would follow through with what he was capable of doing.
I see.
And so then I started smoking weed, and that was my way of coping with the stress of this chaoticness. And then that ended in like my mid 20s, because at 25 I woke up and it was like a huge light bulb went off. Like, what am I
Wow.
doing with my life? I have a toddler. I got to be careful. Who am I going to have her around? What is my intention for her? Like, who do I want her to be? So I went back into college. It took me 6 years to get a 2-year, just so that she sees that I started something and then I could finish it.
Aww.
So yeah. So I never worried about being an alcoholic, because I was never drawn to that kind of thing. Even though I did have some drinks, and I started writing poetry right after I left her father. And that was my outlet too. So I would write all kinds of poems about my frustration, about my angst, about my conflict, my contradictions within myself.
Yeah.
And so I started drinking alcohol because I noticed when I got up to read a poem in front of people at the poetry readings, my knees would shake, my voice would tremble. I'm like,
Public
oh, let me have
fear
a
of
drink,
public speaking, which is 80%,
right?
85% of people. Right.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, let me have a drink. And then shortly after that, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing with myself?
I'm
Like,
writing
I just,
about these things, and now I'm right. It's kind of juxtaposition. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: when you said you packed up the Pampers and you called your mom and you were headed there. Now, at this point, was your mom still actively inside of her alcoholism, or had things changed for her?
No.
Because you're leaving the drug addict to go to the alcoholic,
Yeah.
and the grandmother, the paternal grandmother, said, "My granddaughter deserves better."
Yeah.
Did you not think that, well, maybe I'm going from the frying pan into the fire, so to speak? How did that work out going there? Was it any different? Was it a
was hard.
mistake?
Yeah, it was hard because that was the only support I had, and I felt like that calling, like, okay, if I'm going to leave, I get to leave now. And this is the only support that I have. So I get to figure it out. And it didn't last long with my parents because now having a child, and it felt like I was, again, being my teenage self, especially with my dad. So then I went to my sister's. But now she's got her husband. This was now her second husband, who was also abusing drugs at the time. I just didn't know it. So I went back into that environment with her. And then finally, I did venture off and got an apartment for just me and my daughter. But it really was a journey because I only had the support that I had. So, like I only knew what I knew and I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't even have friendships at the time that were authentic enough to be able to support me.
How much time, Kimberly, would you say you've spent? Because your daughter is how old now?
26.
26. And she went off on her own around what age?
Europe when she was 18.
And went off on her own. Okay, about 18. Okay.
Yeah.
So because a lot of the story here today seems like you're connected or living in someone else's space a lot of the time.
Yes.
Very little time have you had to just Kimberly. What's
Very
going
little
on
time.
there? What do you think that is?
Contemplated it, and I haven't pinpointed it yet. I see it. I have the awareness of it, and I haven't pinpointed it yet. Yeah.
That's really interesting because in our session, that was one of the things that we focused on.
Yes. Yeah.
Just now remembering. Yes.
Yeah.
You're supposed to start looking so that you can start manifesting. Have you started that process?
I've tiptoed into it, but yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I suggested Kimberly do, because she's currently with her sister, and her sister has her grandkids, so she has the responsibility of someone else's children, and then she adds you there, and we always say, yeah, it's here to help out. But we all know we've been on somebody's couch, we've been in the guest room, and sometimes no matter how much we love each other, it doesn't miss us that, okay, it'd probably be easier if I wasn't here, or I feel like, I'm intruding, or whatever those things can be. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you about this. You just said, so what I suggested was start looking for, because she's got the challenges. You need public transportation to get back and forth to work. I remember that challenge. Who doesn't? The one stability piece in place over a year is the job. So we don't want to rock that boat. Yeah. And then how to get back and forth. So it's like, what if you find a place near where somebody at work, where you could carpool and this sort of thing. So the idea was to start looking at area housing situations that could work, just to plant something that we can see and begin manifesting. So you said tiptoeing, like is there fear around this move? Talk about it, because you and I haven't had a session since that was the assignment. How's that going, and what are you learning so far, Kimberly?
Yeah, I definitely would say that there's fear because I have an idea of what I want. And then the question keeps coming up, like the self-doubt, like, can I really do it on my own? Can I really afford it on my own? Because right now, if I'm looking at the facts of what especially finances look like, I don't see how it's possible that I could do it on my own. And I
But
know
you,
that I know we talked about like having the conversation with my coworkers, seeing what that could look like. And that fear is still there. That self-doubt is still there. And I feel like that is what's deeply rooted from my childhood. Because
mm,
that was always, as a little girl, feeling responsible for everyone, my sister, my grandmother, my parents, animals we had. Like, I felt responsible for the world at like 4 years old. So I
and
feel
all
like
of,
that is deeply rooted in me. Like, can I possibly do it?
I can take care of everyone and everything else, but when it comes to just taking care of Kimberly, I'm not so sure.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And it's there was something I wanted to say there.
Yeah,
I
now
thought,
that I said that out loud, now that I
yeah.
had that, to walk into the space today feeling like I'm grieving my old self or my old experiences and like friends, families, and that kind of thing, that's, I feel like, what I'm grieving because my confidence had been all the ways up until the last, well, even now, like my confidence is taking care of people. And that's that codependent part of me. I know how to take care of someone else. I know intuitively what people are looking for or need, or I have the tools to be able to ask questions to find out more. To sit with myself and have that confidence about myself is what I don't know. So I feel like that's what I'm learning with you because I just don't know what I don't know with that part of
Yeah.
myself, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to the herewithal
Yeah.
required. Sometimes looking into the mirror of our own reflection is the toughest of all.
Yeah.
It is. And we
Yeah.
don't even realize sometimes how we create distractions, how we seek distractions, anything to keep us. When I began this career, um, and I remember I had auditioned for Listen to Your Mother, which is the night that eventually the footage from that night ended up becoming my Goldcast video, which
Oh,
has
wow.
millions and millions of views today. But when I and the 10-year thing ago where I transform my body, I hold that picture up. It's around here somewhere. I hold that picture up. The way that happened was because I accidentally caught myself in the mirror one day without a shirt on. And I thought it was another person in the room. I was like, how'd you get in here? Kind of thing. And it was like, it looked like the black Alfred Hitchcock. Good evening. I'm not kidding. And if I could have ran and jumped out the window, I would have. And I was like, oh my God. And that was when it dawned on me. How did I not recognize myself? How did I scare myself with looking at myself? And then Spirit, God, Source led me to look at your social media. All of my social media, none of them had a profile picture. It was just that little silhouette guy, that outline
Yeah.
thing. And then it took me from there to I was brushing my teeth and shaving my face and head every day in the shower, not at the
Not
at
at
the
the
sink.
mirror.
Right, because I
Yeah.
did not like what I saw looking back at me. And
Yeah.
that was near devastation, to
Yeah. I
be honest.
experienced that in 2017. I met a coach locally and she was like a fashion, she helped you with your closet, your clothes, that
Mm,
kind of thing. And she asked, one of the first questions was, how often do you look in the mirror? Do you look in the mirror in the morning when you're getting ready? Do you look in the mirror when you get dressed to see how your clothes are fitting? I had not looked in the mirror in years. And when she said it to me, I had like that cringy sense on my neck, on my spine. Like, I don't look in mirrors. And she's like, what do you mean? What about
Right.
doing your hair? I said, no, I'm not going to worry about my hair. Like, if it's messed up, somebody's going to say to me, hey, you look like alfalfa. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be able to fix my hair. But yeah, I had experienced that too. And then I started working with like Louise Hay work, the mirror work. And so
Mm-hmm.
now I don't do that consistently as much anymore. But that was pretty frightening starting that work, because to look at myself in the mirror, to stare at myself in my eyes and to say, I love you, it brought tears to my eyes when I first started doing it, because I
Yeah.
had never done that before.
Right. Same
Yeah.
thing. Same thing.
Yeah.
It's still amazing to me when I look around our home and, I'll say I just I was turned and I look at the stairway that leads down to these studios and how they're lined with magazine covers and newspaper stories and things like that. And I marvel at
Yeah.
the distance from there to then. And it's just, I had no idea this is a thing that a lot of people deal with. A
Yeah.
lot of people deal with it, and you don't even know that you're not looking at just. I mean, I wouldn't even look in like we can see a reflection in the door beside you, where it
Yeah.
says open. I can see the cars going by.
Yeah.
I would not even. I would look around those kinds of things. I'd
Yeah.
stare at a brick wall, but I couldn't even glance at a window.
Exactly. I'm laughing because I relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so here we are today. What's it like today, Kimberly Henry? When you catch a glimpse of yourself, or are you able to get ready in front of the mirror? Can you look at yourself? And when you do, what do you see? What do you see?
I do look in the mirror a lot more now than I ever did before, especially because now I do occasionally like to wear makeup, and I get to let go of my perfection thing, because I like to be the whole perfection. I obsess over things. So now it's like knowing that I'm perfectly imperfect and accepting me for who I am and my body, especially now I'm in my going on my late 40s, which is mind blowing because I was just 25 like yesterday.
A minute ago, yes.
So now it's like I'm shifting into these hormonal changes with my body. And so there's in 2021, when I left the job that I had been working, I'd been working for the state, and I did that for 20 plus years. As a single mom, it supported me that I didn't have to work more than one job. I still was struggling and it was still a challenge, and I got to be with my kid as much as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2021, I realized, especially with the pandemic, what am I doing with my life? I do not want my legacy to be being a state worker. Like, I knew when I started that job at 23, 22, that I was not going to do 30 years, because that's the mindset of working with the state. You do your 30 years and then you can get the full pension. Well, to me, it had felt like a prison sentence, even past 20 years. So every
Sure.
day was a line where I'm striking it.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4. Mm-hmm.
So I left it, and I trusted the process that I could figure it out for myself. And that was the first time in my life I had done something where I listened to that call of doing something for myself, and that I could
Wow.
trust myself and I could figure it out. And the and I love to write and poetry, stories, whatever. So the word transition kept coming up for me. It was so prevalent. Every day, the word transition, that I wrote it on the laptop stand that I have. And even up until today, the word transition is so there for me, because now my body is going through these transitions that I don't know my body anymore. So I feel like this is so much on another level for me. It's like I'm really figuring out who I am, and I'm really figuring out from a point of view like being grounded. So now I'm happy to say, like, I don't know if I'm going on a tirade because I feel like I am.
No, I'm riveted. To be honest with you, I'm really hanging on every word.
So today I am so grounded in who I am. I don't care what anybody has to say about me. I don't care what they're talking about. I know who I am. If you're talking stuff about me, okay, cool for you. I know who I am. I'm good with who I am. And at the same time, it also feels like a contradiction.
Oh,
Getting
it.
there.
Okay,
Oop,
there we
did
go.
I go off?
We froze a little, but go ahead. You said it seems like a contradiction.
Yeah, it feels like a contradiction at the same time because I don't quite know who I am, and I get to work with you to figure out what I want and the way of getting to that point of I get to do that because there is some, it seems like I'm rooted in worthiness conversations of getting to that place of where I want to be and who I want to become, because I'm clearly working on who I want to become.
You are. And I'm telling you, that's what opened the door to the possibility of us working together. The download came rushing in that this is one of those times, Lauren, where you break the rules, so to speak, or you bend the rules,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you open everything up to this woman, because we ask you to. And so I know you're on your way. I know that it's right around the corner. I've seen what is headed your way. And that's why I initially said, and I wrote down tenacity and grit, because I want you to understand that what you did, it's not like a handout. You know what I'm saying? From my side of the table, it's an honor, because I see that you were led to this doorway through a pathway of humility, of insight, of learning things that are very difficult to teach yourself, to do yourself, to stick with. And I'm so excited about what's coming down the road, because I've seen it for you.
Thank you.
And yes, and
Which is the reason why I feel like I get to stick with and have the grit and have the tenacity and choose to keep going rather than the choice of I want to let it go. I want to put it on the side burner.
Have you ever I'm sure the answer is yes. But so let me reframe it. In those moments where you have been tempted to say, I'm going to throw my hands up. I just can't do this anymore. Why does it happen for everyone else and never me? I remember singing those songs over and over and over again. So what is it, Kimberly, that you tell yourself today that keeps you invested in moving forward no matter what? What is it? Because what I love about this conversation today is that you're literally sitting inside of it right now. You're literally sitting inside of it, but you have this smile on your face, and there's a genuineness about you just said a second ago, I'm happy with. And so I think I said, when was the last time that came out of my mouth? I'm happy with, it, right. I'm serious. How many times do I acknowledge what I'm happy with? And I'm like, wow, this is life changing.
Yeah.
What's happening right here, right now is literally life changing. So
and it's
were
not
you
what I
all,
say to myself, it's what I experience day in. This is my local favorite shop. I have made so many friends here. Like I found my peeps. They're musicians, they're writers, they're creatives in so many different aspects. And I never felt like I belonged in this place, being here all of my life. And now that I'm going through all of these changes on so many different levels of myself, now I'm finding my peeps here. And so every day it's what I'm experiencing. So I sit in gratitude. I have my moments where I'm in my stuff, but I sit in gratitude of I find something I'm grateful for. So getting to walk here this morning, having my favorite cup of matcha that the barista turned me on 2 months ago because he was listening to me and he figured out what my palette profile is, and I trusted him. And then the friends that I've made, the connections that I'm making, and it feels authentic. And so I'm creating these authentic relationships, these authentic friendships, which tells me that I'm being authentic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are the visions you currently see through that periscope, if you will, that telescope, that kaleidoscope of insight? What are the visions you currently see for Kimberly? Straight ahead, down the road of this year. What is it? What do you see headed your way? Now that you are, and I love the way you said, I sit in gratitude. Just, sit your ass down, sit in your
Exactly.
gratitude.
Be with it.
That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And because of that, so what does it allow you to see when you look down that stretch of road known as the future? What do you see for yourself?
Well, I've been doing the different speaking on podcasts and that kind of thing. So I feel like my biggest thing is I get to get paid for the speaking. I have not experienced that yet. So that would be a huge growth for me to get paid for the speaking because I love doing it. And so it's an opportunity for me to feel like I am serving people. And I do realize I get to get paid for it because I don't always get to volunteer my time and my energy. Because if anybody knows, the energy that you're exerting when you're putting yourself into this space. So I do get that I get to get paid for it. So that would be growth.
Yes.
And then also we talked about how I get to publish my story. And it's getting to that place where I have that clarity of what do I really want for that too, because I started writing it when we went into lockdown. And so it's interesting, I still feel like I don't have clarity on what it means to publish it. And there is a part, like have you read Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being?
I have not.
Oh, I highly recommend it. I'm going to download the audiobook because
what's it called again?
I didn't hear you.
What's it called again? What's the name?
The Creative Act, A Way of Being.
The Creative
Act. A Way of Being.
A Way of Being. Okay.
Yeah.
And his name is?
Rick Rubin.
I'm going to get it.
And he's writing from the point of view of being a music producer and being an artist. He was one of the first hip hop artists to create hip hop.
Okay.
And then he started producing all of these hip hop artists. And now, oh my God, he's worked with so many different musicians. It's crazy with the collaborations he's created. And it's so simplistic and it's so profound. Each chapter is so small, like 2 pages, 1.5 page, and yet it's so profound. It took me almost over 2 months to read it because I contemplated each little chunk that I read.
Wow.
It wasn't anything to rush through because I had this goal of, I'm going to finish it and I'm going to start a new book. And it was very clear to me, like 5 minutes into the reading, no, this is not something I'm rushing through. This
ain't
is
your ordinary quick read. Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
And so I'm still sitting with reading that because he makes it so clear that you're creating for yourself. You're not creating for other people. And so feeling like I don't have clarity on what it means to publish my story, it really feels like I'm sitting in that space of what are other people going to think? I'm thinking too much about what other people are going to think.
There you go.
And he makes it so clear in the book. Like, it does not matter what other people think because there's going to be somebody out there that you're going to inspire.
No matter what.
No
Absolutely.
matter what.
I'm going to get it. Thank you for that. Information. And thank you for sharing and for being so vulnerable. You guys, on the screen is Kimberly's Instagram, the real Kimberly.Henry, and also If Facebook is your jam, you can find her there, Kimberly.Henry.54. And we're going to take the liberty of dropping both of these links directly into the comment section for easy access right now at the end of the broadcast. And as we get out of here, Kimberly, I just want to say hats off. Bravo. I salute you. It's easy to sit down and be interviewed and share when we have all of these things. Oh, I just released my book. Oh, I'm speaking in Poughkeepsie next week. Oh, I got this, and this going on. But when you come in and you say, I'm in there and I'm swimming, but some days I'm just treading water. But guess what? The most important part is I'm still in the water. That's right. I'm still in the game. I'm still inside of my divine purpose, and I'm going to keep going until I get there. And I just really, hats off. You have created the opportunities you now have before you. So keep going and keep growing so you can keep showing others how to do the same damn thing. Good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
I appreciate you. And
I'm
you
proud
inspire
of you.
me. So it's connecting
you.
with people like you that I do sit in gratitude because you inspire me. You give me that sense of, I know on an intuitive level that you do see what I don't see.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
so that helps me because, okay, if you see it, then I know it's possible that I will see it. I just don't see it now.
It's coming.
It doesn't mean that I'm never going to see it.
That's right. And I appreciate you. And thank you for pouring into me. Many of the things you say about me and others. Just know this. You may not be privy to the actual conversations, but we are having those same conversations about you. So we say the same things about you. So thank you again. I'll see you on your next coaching session. And I'm just so grateful for you being in my life. Thank you.
Thank
you. That goes for you guys too. Thank you for being in my life. I couldn't do this without you, nor would I want to. Now get out of here. Go out and find that E and that R that takes everything to a whole new level. Great to greater, bright to brighter, strong to stronger, bold to bolder, and my personal favorite, kind to kinder. I will see you, God willing, tomorrow morning over on the front porch so we can have another illuminated conversation. Royal Key Aurelius Funk is back tomorrow. I believe he's in Hawaii this time, so it'll be like 4 a.m. for him, but he'll be here, and I hope you will be as well. I look forward to all that is to come, including you tomorrow. So don't let my screen door slam on your way out of here. Remember, Dr. Lauren loves you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Get out. Have the best day ever. Thank you, Kimberly. Great job. Great job, as always. See you soon. Bye, everybody.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.